everyone, comic book reviewer here. This time doing another Spidey-tember episode review. And this one is on Return of the Spider Slayers. Now, as you know, Return of the Spider Slayers is meant to be the third episode in Spider-Man the New Animated Series and was released on February the 11th, 1995. Now, pretty much this episode is meant to continue after the whole Spider Slayer episode. And my best thoughts about the episode, I would say, is that it's okay, but it just feels like it's missing a few things. We kind of see how, after the last episode, we see how, Alistair Smythe now has his hover chair, and we do kind of see how Wilson Fisk gives him the resources and funds to build more Spider Slayers. And here, it also sort of implies that Alistair realised the flaws of the previous Spider Slayer and also made sure to make more than just one. And it's also implied that, the Scorpion Spider Slayer as well as the Tarantula one are more like advanced versions. And I think it's also implied that Alistair rebuilt the original one out of respect for his father's original work. And of course, we kind of see how Peter as Spider-Man not only has to deal with Alistair's sort of revenge plot against all the people he feels took his father from him, but we also see how Peter has to deal with more than one Spider Slayer. And I think the episode is alright at places, but I think there should have been a line with Peter talking with Alistair saying, "Look, I'm sorry about your father, but this won't bring him back." Again, Peter lost Uncle Ben, so we'd probably try to make more sense to him. And we know the thing about Peter is that, when he does try to talk with the villains, he understands what they may or may not have gone through. And we do kind of see how, the Spider Slayers go for all the people that Alistair blames. And I think it's interesting that we do see Eddie Brock once again. And here, you do see Eddie trying to get another job, and it's kind of implied that the newspaper he goes to is the Daily Globe. And of course, we see how Eddie once again blames Spider-Man for his troubles, then really admitting his own problems. And I think what makes Eddie Brock work here, he'll blame anyone around him than himself. And I think, we know at this point Alistair is too far gone to be reasoned with. And it's also kind of clear that Wilson Fisk will pretty much hold him on a leash to make it clear that he works for him until he takes down Spider-Man. And I think what's interesting is, stock for the episode, for some parts of the episode were used for one of the episodes from later down the series, Sins of the Father. So this does remind me a bit like watching Power Rangers, where certain fight footage would take stuff from previous stuff, much like with Mighty Morphin, where you saw how previous defeated monsters, much like the Power Ranger episode The Wedding, just used previous episodes from a fight footage with the Megazords and just kind of stacking it in. I think it's not the greatest episode, and I think the third one, is also kind of responsible for rushing in MJ, and I think could have taken more time with it. Because I always kind of feel the point of MJ is that you don't want to rush her in too quickly. You want to kind of get to know her more beforehand. And I think what's actually interesting is, Mary Jane in this series is a little more differently designed. And I actually like her little top, more kind of boots and kind of blue jeans. It reminds me a bit more of a streetwise version of Mary Jane. But I think the rest of the episode just falls flat and feels like a typical Saturday morning cartoon without any real more emotional build-up. No time for Peter to try and talk sense to Alistair. And I think, it's also clear that we would get the toy versions of the Spider Slayers. It feels like they were just kind of thrown in to be a tie-in to the toy. And there was a lot more they could have done with some of the other Spider Slayers. And I think this episode definitely deserves a thumbs down. Well, it's not the perfect one. I feel like there was a lot more they could have brought onto the table. But that's just my opinion. So, book reviewer here, signing out.